Okay, this Screencastify video is to help you look at how to think about examining the differences between the three approaches and their understanding of addictions. Remember, that must be the connection that you make. And I just want to talk again about that word examine that I talked about in my first video. Please go back and watch that again if you're not sure. Think about it like a doctor who examines you. He looks at all the different parts and thinks about what the answer might be. So the examination is really important because it's going to lead to our evaluation of the best approach. So the first thing I've put for you on here is a planning and thinking tool. It's really hard to compare and contrast three approaches just by thinking about it in your head. Okay, so I suggest that the first thing to do is to draw, don't worry about this bit here, draw three circles like this as a three-way Venn diagram. And A is your biological approach, B is your behaviorist approach, and C is your cognitive or social or psychodynamic approach, whichever you've chosen. Okay, and then these bits here, I'm going to change my color for you. These bits here are where the two approaches connect, and the same here. So I'll draw those out. Okay, and the same here. So where do you get similarities and differences between these approaches? So this circle here, like in maths, this is where you have the things that are only applicable to your third approach, your second approach, and your first approach. And these are where you have things that are similar between the two. The really important one, of course, then is this one in the middle. And this one is where you find similarities between all three of them. Okay, so I'm going to draw my little three in there, all three of them. So that's where you find those similarities. Now, I suggest that you do that first to get yourself thinking. And the question you want to ask yourself is, what is similar between these two and what is different or unique to that? And you might want to read a few exemplars first and go through some of your material. Okay, once you've done your thinking, then you need some vocabulary, because when we're writing or putting together a similarity and difference thing, it's like this. We need some vocabulary to show the reader the differences. So these words here are all words you can use when you're comparing them and showing the similarities, and these ones here are all words you can use when you're saying they're different. The next thing you need to do is you need to choose the way you want to show me your ideas. And there are actually two different ways you can do this. And then there is a third way that you could do your whole project or parts of your project, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. So the first thing you can do if you're struggling with the huge amount of writing involved in this is that you could take a table approach. Now, a table approach means that you're going to put your approaches in here. You're going to bullet similarities and differences. So you're going to steal this table, okay? And then you are going to use bullet points again, okay, to organize your material. So you're going to bullet point different similarities that you have taken from your planning tool, okay? And then you're going to bullet point differences that you've taken from your planning tool. What I want you to notice is where I have highlighted language of structure, so literacy that you need, and where I have, let me just get another color for you, where I have italicized the kind of words that are words that belong to psychology. They're words that we call formal vocabulary from that particular discipline or subject area. So I want you to have a look at that. And you can do that approach, and I would expect a few bullet points on each. I've obviously given you an example of two, but I would expect a little bit more than that. And then the really important thing is that you can explain it in relation to your case study. And again, I've highlighted words that you would need to use. So, so-and-so, whoever, the person, celebrity that you're looking at, the celebrity, Drew Barrymore, for example, her alcohol addiction can be explained by a combination of genetics. Her father was an alcoholic, the way alcohol numbed the chemicals created by her anxiety. So that's your biological approach in here. Okay. And then also by, so notice the word there as well, by the fact that this was learned behavior from her environment at home and in Hollywood. So you're showing me how the two approaches could be used to talk about her addiction. Then you're going to do the differences as well. So the therapies used demonstrate the differences in the case of, and I'm just making this up, like Drew Barrymore or Jack Kerouac or anyone you've used. The medication given by doctors did not work. However, the reward stimulus versus the pain stimulus connected to alcohol drinking helped so-and-so to stop. So how could you explain her history or his history in relationship to these differences, similarities and differences that you've made? If you like to write and you prefer to do it that way, then this is the same thing, only as a written approach. And again, I've highlighted language here, literacy, that you need to use in order to start your sentences. And you'll notice that this student just keeps doing it. A similarity, a difference. In common with each other is another one here. So I'll highlight that for you as well. In common, similarities, differences, and then differences, whereas a difference between is another one. So you can see that the student's just clearly gone and listed the similarities and the difference, but done it in a piece of writing. And if you're going to put it in for your English internal, you would need to write it. So that's how to do that particular section, which if you look at the scaffolding, which I'm just going to find for you. No, I'll have to find that for you. If you look in our folder, here you go, and at the scaffolding needed, this connects with, sorry, it's a bit slow. Let's go back up. This connects with this bit here. Examine differences in how psychological approaches explain the addiction. The next thing I'm going to do is a video on evaluating the selected psychological approach, but the video I've just done connects with that.